Hi guys, it's me, Lisa Stone with Parenting Aces, coming at you from outside this afternoon. I've been relegated to the back patio while my husband finishes his workday, but just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the new USTA ranking and tournament platform. I continue to get emails from you guys all the time, and I really appreciate you reaching out. And I hope you know that I am passing along your questions and comments to USTA, and in fact, sent my prior Q&A and analysis of that Q&A to USTA CEO and President Mike Dowse, who did respond and passed my information along to Craig Morris. Craig is the chief executive of community tennis at USTA, and so Craig did respond and telling me, that they are continuing to work on things at USTA and try to get everything straightened out. I do want to read you just a couple of things from my exchange with Craig. First of all, I asked him what USTA and Club Spark, which I found out is the company that was contracted to develop the new ranking and tournament platform. Again, it's called Club Spark. I asked what they're doing right now to fix the rankings as soon as possible so that the kids who have earned the opportunity to play in these current tournaments get selected into them and actually get seated appropriately, which, as y'all know, has been a big issue. Craig responded, and I'm just going to read his response because it's better than me trying to paraphrase. He says, since launching the NSL National Standing List in early 2021, we have identified 3 categories of ranking issues and have redistributed all known ranking points and systematically corrected all identified issues as of March 31st, 2021. During this process, we were able to determine that out of 654 total ranking inquiries, approximately 60% of the issues were consumer education related, and we have finalized materials to assist with better ranking visibility with both online documentation and consumer videos. It is important to note that these known issues affected around 2% of our current playing population for levels 1 through 7. For those players that were affected with selection and seeding in our events, we have increased play opportunities by doubling the number of level 2 offerings in almost every age division in February, an additional level 1 in May with 128 players per age division, and increased wildcards from up to 4 to up to 8 for the March level 1 that took place, and up to 12 for the Easter Bowl, which was 2 weeks ago. It is also important to note that the level 1 in May is based on selection from the 17 sections only to allow them to address players that have been impacted with ranking issues in early 2021. Finally, as we move forward, the planned release of the player profile on Serve Tennis and the automation of rankings in May will help further support the transparency of the process for all stakeholders. So I want to just comment on that before I move on. So we know that there are still issues with the rankings because y'all are telling me that you're still having issues with the rankings. I am, as I mentioned before, continuing to send your concerns to USTA. They are being rather slow in responding, but that's due to the fact that they are overwhelmed with inquiries. I did have an opportunity to sit down with Lou Brewer during the Easter Bowl. He was down in San Diego for a few days and talked to him about some of this stuff. And while, I didn't get any hard dates to give y'all that everything's going to be fixed by this time or you need to do that, what I did find out from Lou is they really are devoting resources to try and get this fixed. That doesn't undo the damage that's already been done in the first 4 months of the year, and he recognizes that, and the Wildcards were supposed to help offset some of that confusion and some of those errors. But as we are continuing to see, the wildcard selection process is very much still cloaked in secrecy. We were promised transparency. We're still not getting that. And there are kids continuing to get wild cards and being selected into events that, may or may not really belong there. In terms of the May level 1, this is really important, okay? So if your child is interested in playing that May level 1, whichever division they're in, you need to go to your section right now, to your junior comp person, and find out what they are using to select players for their quotas into the L1. Every section is being left to decide that on their own. I mentioned this to Lou, and I said, Lou, please, please, please encourage the sections to send something out to their members so that everybody is clear on how players are going to be selected into these events. He told me he was doing that. I don't know if that happened because I don't have a junior player anymore, but I can tell you, parents and players, the onus is on you to reach out to your section and find out what they are using, whether it's USTA ranking solely, whether it's UTR rating solely, or whether it's a combination of the two. And again, each section is being left to decide how best to do that based on the players in their section, and kind of the rationale is that the sections know the players better than the national office does, and so the sections should be able to figure out how to select for this L1, which was added in order to kind of try to undo some of the damage that's been done by the faulty rankings so far this year. So again, that's really important. Reach out to your section, junior comp person, and pin them down, get it in writing, find out how they're selecting for the upcoming L1, and make sure you keep a record of any communication that you have with them. Okay, so the next thing I asked is I'd also like to know what the national office is doing to ensure the sections clearly communicate their selection and seeding methods to their players. It has been over 3 months since the platform launched, and as you are well aware, it's still a mess with little information coming from USTA other than the interviews that I've conducted. And so Craig Morris's response to that was, the selection process for level 1 through 3s is based on the national standing list per our rules and regulations and is shared on the homepage for the event. The upcoming May level 1 is an exception to those regulations in an effort to allow sections to identify and support the players they feel may have been impacted by the pandemic and or rankings. So that's reiterating what I just said to you guys about the upcoming L1s and checking with your section. Craig goes on to say, for level 4s through 7s, the sections and districts may use the national standing list. They may use a rating or a combination, and they should be making the selection process transparent and visible to all registrants. One of the advantages of the new structure is the ability to have one national standing list for all players so that we do not have a fractured selection process, and this will take more time to fall in place. The priority for now is the communication and education of the system in the process, and we are finalizing several education initiatives for the sections, players, parents, and tournament directors over the coming weeks. So that begs the question, why are they just now doing that? Why wasn't all of this information in place prior to the launch in January? We're never going to get an answer to that question because I've asked it a million times. But at least USTA recognizes that they have got to do a better job educating you, the families, the junior players, the parents of the junior players, the coaches of the junior players, so that everybody understands how this process works. So, we're still seeing issues with the L5 and L6 tournaments being populated by players that have no business playing in those events. Those are supposed to be kind of mid-range to entry-level events and should not be populated by kids who are highly ranked, yet because of the lack of tournaments that have been available to kids, especially in certain sections, when there's a tournament and families have the means to travel, they're going to travel and get their kid those opportunities to earn ranking points. And I get it, but I would really love to see USTA put a limit on who can play at each level of tournament, much like we are seeing with the World Team Tennis, the Junior World Team Tennis National Championships. If you're ranked inside the top 150, you can't play. So I think USTA needs to do something similar for the various levels of their regular junior tournaments. We don't want highly ranked players entering these level 5, 6, and 7 events because it kind of defeats the purpose. Those events are for kids who are new to the sport, who are just beginning to compete, just beginning to build a ranking. And it's no fun to go to a tournament and get wiped out by a kid who's ranked in the top 100 in the nation. So I'm really hoping USTA will do something to make those events more conducive to growing tennis and to accommodating the players that belong at that level. Again, I want to go back to the wild cards and the issue with wild cards. We have been begging for years for USTA to be transparent about how wild cards are awarded, what the criteria are. I will tell you, there is an upcoming wild card tournament for one of the summer L1 events, and I spoke to someone inside USTA who told me they aren't even using the national standing list to choose players for that wildcard tournament because the rankings are so messed up right now. They're looking at other factors, though the person didn't specify to me what factors they are looking at, but was very clear that the USTA is not using the USTA rankings to select players into their wildcard playoff tournament. So to me, that speaks volumes. I want to go back to this whole issue of Club Spark, which is, again, the company that was contracted to devise this new platform. A lot of the issues that we're seeing are Club Spark issues. They're not USTA issues, but I just want to say I've never been able to get an answer to my question as to whether USTA issued an RFP, a request for proposal, before awarding this contract to Club Spark. And Club Spark traditionally has been a platform for tennis clubs to use for members to reserve courts. That's, their area of expertise. The research that I've done, I can't find any evidence that Club Spark has ever devised a ranking and tournament platform like the scope of work that they were asked and hired to do by USTA. So I still don't have all the information on what went down there, but I do want you to know that the fixes that need to happen aren't really USTA things that need to go on, but it's Club Spark that needs to make these fixes, and they are working on it, USTA assured me. So, I'm really hoping that with these upcoming May 1 level 1 tournaments and the concurrent level 3 tournaments, that we will see a much better kind of fair selection of players, a fair seeding of players, and that the junior players who should be playing in those events are actually the ones that get to play. I just, again, want to say I am continuing to send your questions to USTA. I have added a tab on parentingaces.com. If you click on the junior tennis tab, there's a drop down and there's a list of resources, USTA resources, that actually the USTA Southwest section put together. And I've shared on our website because I think, it's helpful to have it all in one place. So if you are looking for more information on the tournament and ranking structure, that little document that USTA Southwest put together is right there on parentingaces.com under our junior tennis tab. So please have a look at that. I also want to say to those of you who value these little videos and the information that I've been sharing and the work that I've been doing, I really encourage you to become a premium member of Parenting Aces and support us that way. Shop our merch. We've got new merch, and that helps us as well. There are, costs and expenses involved with running Parenting Aces, and it's not a whole lot of money that I'm asking for, but I sure would appreciate the support. And in exchange for becoming a premium member, you get consults with me every quarter at no extra cost. So the people that have done those consults, I think, have found value in those and are continuing to maintain their membership, which I appreciate so much. But for the rest of you, again, if you find value in the information that I'm providing and the platforms that I've got out there, we'd love to have you come on board as a premium member. All right, that's it for now. If I have more information to share, I certainly will do so. I encourage you to please keep following us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. We're sharing the information as quickly as we can and really hoping to kind of turn a corner with all of this, and hopefully by the time summer rolls along and we've got national clays and national hard courts and other events coming on the calendar, that the rankings will have kind of work themselves to the place where everybody feels like their kid is in the right place and playing the right level of events and able to play the right level of events. But, you know, until then, hang in there. I'm here for you. You can always reach me via email, lisa@parentingaces.com, and I'm happy to try to answer or get you an answer to any questions or concerns you have. All right, guys, thanks. Have a great rest of your day. I'm sure I'll be back soon with more updates, but for now, I'm Lisa Stone with Parenting Aces. See you soon.